Hello friends, here we are asked to show sp hybridization in a time molecule. It's important to know that in a time molecule, carbon is said to be in its state of sp hybridization because we combine one s orbital with one p orbital to get two sp hybrid orbitals. Remember, the number of orbitals are conserved. So if we are taking one s orbital and taking two p orbitals to mix, that means we mix two orbitals, so we're going to have two sp hybrid orbitals. Nice. So reverting back to our energy level diagram, we have the two p orbitals, which are x, y, and z, and of course we have the two s orbital, which has only one electron as well. All of these degenerate orbitals also have one electrons. Carbon in the valence shell has 1, 2, 3, 4 electrons. Okay, so we are combining the s orbital with the s orbital with x orbital. When you mix these two orbitals, which is one s orbital and one p orbital, you are going to have two sp hybrid orbitals because the number of orbitals are conserved. One orbital combined with one orbital, so we are going to have two hybrid orbitals. But because we are mixing an s and the p orbital is going to be 2sp, that's sp orbital and sp orbital 2, because the number of orbitals are conserved. What happens is that you notice that the x and the y and the z orbitals were not mixed, so they remain at the same energy level where they were ab initio. So in that case, you now have that it was only one p orbital, the x orbital, that was used to mix. So you have the y and z orbitals unhybridized or unmixed. They remain at their initial energy level. It is important to know that the sp hybrid orbitals are used for making sigma bonds, while the unhybridized p orbitals are used for making pi bonds. Let's hold it critically. So this is carbon in the excited state, and when hybridization has occurred, this is what you have. So let's try to depict the ethyne molecule, okay, using both the hybrid and non-hybrid orbitals as you have. In this case, recall that carbon has atomicity of 2, so we are dealing with 2 carbon, unlike the case in methane where we had only 1 carbon. So in this case, we have 2 carbons, just like we have in ethene. So what you do for this carbon, you do equally for the other carbon. So carbon here has 2 sp hybrid orbitals. Remember, sp hybrid orbitals are usually drawn like a lobe or a leaf, as the case may be. So permit me to use this to depict the first sp hybrid orbital. Permit me to draw another one here to depict the second with 1 electron. This is 1 electron. This is an sp hybrid orbital and sp hybrid orbital. So we've settled the hybrid orbitals for this carbon. Nice. Okay, we have to do the same for the second carbon. All right, so the second carbon here, you have the sp hybrid orbital. In this case, it's going to overlap with this sp hybrid orbital. Okay, so this is what you have. So for this second carbon, I'm trying to see if I can give a beautiful diagram. Nice. So we have depicted one sp hybrid orbital. One is supposed to be here for this carbon. Nice. Okay, so this is another sp hybrid orbital for this carbon. So in this case, we have depicted the diagrams of all the sp, the 2 sp for this carbon, the 2 sp for this carbon. We now have 2 p's, okay, unhybridized orbitals, and we have to equally depict them. Nice. Okay, so what we are going to do is to draw an imaginary line. Of course, this is representing the y-axis, and another imaginary line representing the z-axis. We do the same for this carbon, okay, representing the y-axis, and another imaginary line representing the what? The z-axis. Beautiful. All right, so we're trying to represent the unhybridized 2p unhybridized orbitals. So when you have your dumbbell shape in the y-axis, of course, you expect that this is 2p y orbital. This is 2p y orbital. So when you have your dumbbell now, in the 2pz orbital, you expect that you have your 2pz orbital for this carbon. So you do the same, your dumbbell, because p orbitals are dumbbell shaped, so you have your 2pz orbital, okay, 2by orbital rather, okay, and you have your dumbbell represented in the z-axis. Of course, you have your 2pz orbitals. Beautiful. Now we have done this, it is important to know that we still have 2 hydrogen atoms. So one hydrogen atom, which is an s orbital, okay, hydrogen carries this electron in the s orbital, so this hydrogen atom overlaps with sp, and there is a bond there, okay, and another hydrogen atom can overlap with this particular sp hybrid orbital, okay, using its s orbital, and we are going to make a bond there. So permit me to draw and show you that we have an sp to s overlap. So this is definitely a sigma bond, and you have an sp to an sp, this is a sigma bond, okay, you have an s to an sp, this is a sigma bond, okay. So we have shown you 3 sigma bonds. Again, there is what we call lateral overlaps when there is an interaction by sideways, especially this happens with the p orbitals. So when you see the interaction between the 2py hybrid orbital and 2py hybrid orbital, that interaction between the 2py hybrid orbital will make what we call a weaker covalent bond called a pi bond. Again, the interaction between the 2pz hybrid orbital and 2pz hybrid orbital will make a second covalent bond, which is a weaker bond. So it is important I state again that when you have an s to sp overlapping, you are going to make a sigma bond. When you have any kind of sp to any kind of sp, you are only going to make a sigma bond, which is a strong type of covalent bond. When you have a p orbital overlapping with a p orbital, like in this case you have a pi bond, or when you have pz overlapping with pz, again in this case you are going to have a pi bond. The pi bonds are weaker kinds of covalent bonds, while the sigma bonds are stronger kinds of covalent bond, okay. So if this is what you have, remember now, or recall that what we are going to have now is the simple structure of a time will always be given this way, okay. It will always have 3 bonds, okay. This is the simple structure, okay, of a time with 3 bonds. Here you recall that we have an sp to sp overlap, okay. Here we have what, a py to py overlap, and here we have a pz to pz overlap, okay, pz to pz overlap. Beautiful. So you see it when you have an sp to an sp overlap. So we move it down just for clarity purpose. Again, you have this, you have this, you have this, you have this, and you have this, okay. So the sp to sp overlap gives us a sigma bond. Beautiful. Okay, so when you have a py to py overlap, you are going to have a pi bond. So the second one is a pi bond. When you have a pz to pz overlap, you have again a pi bond. Beautiful. Of course, when you have an s to sp, an s to an sp, which is what you have here, is a sigma bond, and this is upwardly a sigma bond. Nice. So with this, you can be able to tell the number of pi bonds and sigma bonds that are formed in a given molecule. This is beautiful. Nice. Having said this, it's also important I draw this to your attention that when you have a single bond, single covalent bond, that single covalent bond is equivalent to 1 sigma bond. When you have a double covalent bond, the double covalent bond is equivalent to 1 sigma bond, okay, plus 1 pi bond, okay. So in a molecule that carries 2 covalent bonds, it's expected, you know, that there is 1 sigma bond and 1 pi bond in that molecule. 1 sigma bond, 1 pi bond. And when you have a triple molecule like what we have now, just know that it carries 1 sigma bond and 2 pi bonds. Okay, so this is something that is important to know, because in some of your examinations, your examiner may want to give you a molecule and tell you to identify the number of sigma bonds and pi bonds are present. So you can see in this particular molecule ethyl molecule, we have 3 sigma bonds, and of course we have 2 pi bonds. Again, they can ask you to find or identify the kind of hybridization that is given in a molecule. Of course, you can see that the 2 carbons in this particular molecule are said to be sp hybridized. In the next lecture, I'm going to show you how to identify the kind of hybridization that is given in a given molecule. Thank you. Bye.